Those choices help to put money back into your community. Town Square Media South Jersey proudly puts a spotlight on local businesses.
Broadlee's, your trusted source for heating and plumbing service and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907 or visit broadlees.net. Manhattan Bagel. Looking for a quick snack or a full meal? Easy to use menu, customize how you'd like, place your order and sit back. ManhattanBagel.com has you covered. Start fresh, fast, order online for pickup and delivery. Clean Lines Painting. For a quality job, remember the name, cleanlinespaint.com. And Kindle Auto, just off exit 10 of the Parkway on Stone Harbor Boulevard. Call 609-465-5000 or shop online at KindleAutoPlaza.net.
Thank you for supporting your local businesses from Town Square Media South Jersey.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him! It's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN. What a crazy day it has been, because with the NFL swirling with the Bill Belichick news and the whole world trying to figure out who's going to go where. And then you have the Eagles getting back to practice today. And, well, let's just say that it was not the most encouraging day for the Eagles. We'll do all that more this hour on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll be joined by Athletic Eagles beat writer Brooks Kubena coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So I'll get to the Belichick stuff in just a bit, but I want to get to this Eagles injury report. And as always, I'll check the text board. Keep them coming in, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So, a couple of things we want to get into here. Like I said, we got to get the injury report because it wasn't the most encouraging day for the Eagles. Now, today was the first day that Jalen Hurts actually attempted to throw a ball since dislocating his finger in the Giants' loss. And we're just going to put that one aside for a minute because I got some thoughts on the Hurts and the finger situation. But Reed Blankenship, A.J. Brown, Sidney Brown all did not practice. Now, Sidney Brown we knew was going to happen. Okay, we all assumed that Sidney was not going to, because he's done for the year, right? Whenever you have that kind of ACL injury, your year's done. But the other two guys are a concern. Remember, A.J. Brown was banged up in the Giants game as well. And I'm starting to really wonder are these injuries just another sign to all of us that this is not the Eagles season? Is this just another example of the world shining a big, bright neon light saying, not your year. You guys are not going to the Super Bowl. Get over it. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just thinking out loud because with all the injuries that happened in the Giants game, you just start looking around like, what is going on here? And then the horrible play on top of it. It was absolutely a mess in that game. And I'm just starting to maybe try to wrap my head around, well, Jalen Hurts is banged up. A.J. Brown's banged up. Reed Blankenship is banged up. Devonta Smith, he's coming back from an injury. Darius Slay, he's coming back from an injury. I'm not trying to be a fatalist, but unless this is the start of some great journey that we're going to have this amazing postseason run, all of a sudden the Eagles are going to, get Michael Jordan's, secret juice at halftime of Space Jam and go out there and have the greatest postseason run that I can remember in how improbable it would be, that if I'm being a realist, I think these injuries are a sign that Monday is not a guarantee to winning. Look, AJ Brown, when he went down on Sunday, I remember what I was doing. And I turned to my guy, Adam, the bartender, and I was like, oh, great, here we go again. And it was just another situation where I'm looking around, I'm like, this team is bad enough they can't beat the Giants, and now they can't even stay healthy. And it just has to make you wonder what is going on with this team. It's one thing to have injuries. It's another thing to have these kind of injuries. Look, Blankenship it's bad enough that Reed probably shouldn't be your starting safety. It's another thing now that if you're without Blankenship and you're without Sidney Brown potentially for Monday night, what do you do at safety aside from Byard? Remember, you started the year with Evans, Blankenship, and Edmonds. Eventually, you worked in Sidney Brown. Eventually, you traded for Kevin Byard. And now you may be going into a postseason game against the Bucs team that we can, listen, not we. The simpletons can make fun of Baker Mayfield all they want. But Baker Mayfield found a way to lead this team back to the postseason. They had Tom Brady for 2 straight years. Sorry, for 3 straight years. And now they get Baker Mayfield. They win 9 games. They were only supposed to win 6.5. Baker Mayfield passes for over 4,000 passing yards. He has the most passing touchdowns in a season he has ever had in his career. His best touchdown to interception ratio that he has had since 2020. A Tampa Bay Bucs offense that I know people like to make fun of it because it's Baker Mayfield, but they do have some high-powered weapons on that offense. And now you might be going into a playoff game without not 1, not 2, but potentially 3 different guys you could be playing safety. And now it's Kevin Byard and who back there? So I do have concerns. And then AJ Brown. If you get into a shootout with the Tampa Bay Bucs, are you really confident that you are going to be able to do it with just Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert when you struggled the entire month of December into January at having a consistent offense? Again, people want to make fun of the Bucs because they're an easy target. But let me tell you something. The Bucs are a team that have shown you they can score points. All but 1 game this year, when they scored 26 or more points, they won. Yeah. 6-1 are the Bucs when they scored 26 or more points. If you're wondering, when you put Philadelphia on that stat line, Philadelphia also only has 1 loss in those kind of games. Philly lost to the Cardinals. Tampa lost to the Houston Texans. So let me line this up. The Bucs lost to a team that is in the postseason when they scored a lot of points, and the Eagles lost to Jonathan Gannon, the Arizona Cardinals, in that kind of game. I am not going to be the guy to dismiss the Bucs, and I do not want to be the person who gets on the microphone on 97.3 ESPN FM and act like, oh, the Eagles should go down there and beat the Bucs. You look at the Bucs season, And you realize very quickly that they have beaten some very good teams and they've had some interesting competition this year. Look, they beat the Packers. Packers are in the playoffs. They did not lose by 100 points to the 49ers like the Eagles did. They lost by 13. Much more reasonable. They lost a shootout with the Houston Texans when CJ Stroud had an amazing game. They lost to the Bills. Eagles beat the Bills. And when they played the Eagles earlier this year, that was arguably one of their worst games of the season. And part of it was because they had some serious injuries that night, particularly to Vita Vea. So I'm not going to be the one to sit here and dismiss the Bucs as a threat, as a problem. If you are going into this and hoping to walk out of there with a win. And by the way, did you know that the Tampa Bay Bucs are 7th in the NFL in points per game against? They're top 5 against the run. So am I supposed to be scared of them? Maybe a little bit. And I understand there's a presumption that the Bucs are an easy matchup because of who they are. But I'm telling you right now, you would have been much happier playing the Packers in the wild card round than the Bucs. Packers defense is dreadful. Eagles have shown that they can't figure out a blitz that they're left pennant on for the last 6 weeks. And what does Todd Bowles do? Blitz, 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 blitz. I'm just saying, let's. I am not going to buy into this theory that all's great for Philadelphia in this matchup. This is a bad matchup for Philadelphia in terms of what the Bucs do well. You currently do not do well. Now, listen, I could be sitting here on Monday night watching the game while you guys listen on 97.3 ESPN FM. You're home for Eagles football in South Jersey. And I could be watching the Eagles come out of their shell and have the best game they've had in months. And they could blow away the Bucs because they have that kind of talent. But I don't believe that this Eagles team, as banged up as they are, it's going to be an easy game. I just don't see it at all. Paul from Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-097. He says, Josh, we could not have asked for an easier opponent to play this week. I am hoping, although I have been hoping for the last 2 weeks, that this team comes out with a good game plan, some energy. If they don't start strong, we will be done and really feel the Nick Sirianni era will probably be over. Need the vets on the team to step up and show some leadership. Go Eagles. That's from Paul in Ocean City. Well, a couple things, Paul. One, like I said, I think the Packers are an easier matchup than Tampa. I would say probably of all the NFC teams that made the postseason who are not the Eagles, the Packers would be the easiest to match up with. So there is an easier opponent, but I digress. You're 100% right, though, about the whole thing about they need a good game plan and energy. It's felt like in recent weeks that they have been blah. They've been dismissive. They've been disinterested. Their mind isn't in the game. They're making stupid mistakes. Listen, this is a team that was top 5 in the NFL in penalties in the last 8 weeks. They are one of the worst turnover teams in the NFL the last 2 months of the season. And that's not a Jalen Hurts thing. That's an everybody thing. That's receivers fumbling the ball, right? That's Jalen Hurts fumbling the ball. That's guys having the ball bouncing off their hands that become interceptions. You're right. If they don't have a good game plan and they don't come out with energy, then these vets are supposed to step up and show some leadership. You better get rid of some of them. You better make some tough. You better be make some tough decisions this offseason if you don't win in Tampa. All right, coming up next, we'll dig deeper into the Eagles as they get ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brooks Kubena from The Athletic. I see Jeff from Motion City, and others. Keep your messages coming in at 609-403-0973. That's the text board. Also, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Tonight on ESPN Radio. It's a Western Conference showdown in Los Angeles.
Got Kurt Durant all by himself, and he throws it home. Got to take a look at the crowd and say, how about that?
Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and the Suns face LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers.
James steps back deep, too, hits it the horn. LeBron James.
The Suns at the Lakers. Coverage begins tonight at 9:30 Eastern with tip-off at 10 Eastern.
Listen to the NBA all season long on 97.3 ESPN.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every touchdown, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a 99-yard pass to score a touchdown or a fumble in the first minute of the game. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick, Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
I trust Clean Lines. Clean Lines Paint. CleanLinesPaint.com.
Transform your home with Clean Lines Painting and Power Washing. Right now, get free premium paint. Just pay for their labor to keep their team busy during the winter months when they can only work inside. Call now about their free premium paint for residential work. For a quality job, remember the name.
Trust Clean Lines Paint. CleanLinesPaint.com.
Drink quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? We can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents or having to waste time showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your house to foreclosure. If you have equity in your home, we'll buy your home and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call now before your situation gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just need anymore and get the cash you need today. Call this number now.
800-950-3143. 800-950-3143. 800-950-3143. That's 800-950-3143. Paid for by Want to Sell.
It's a new year. It's a new day. Save all month long at Matt Blatt Mitsubishi every day. So if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, Matt Blatt Mitsubishi wants to get you released so you can celebrate this new year and get you into a brand new Mitsubishi Outlander or Eclipse Cross SUV, both with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 60 months. Clearing $450 per week at Matt Blatt Mitsubishi, you're virtually approved. And only Matt Blatt Mitsubishi has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. So if you're worried that your credit will keep you from getting a new ride, Matt Blatt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. Simply Matt Blatt Mitsubishi. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. 1666 per thousand finance unapproved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Go to mattblattmitsubishi.com. 844-946-2315 for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 2/4/24. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We'll check back on the text board in just a bit. 609-403-0973. Don't forget to DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See, right now we're joined by Eagles beat writer for The Athletic, Brooks Kubena, joins us back here on the show as we get deeper into Eagles preparation for Tampa. Brooks, welcome back to the show. How you doing, my man?
Doing all right, Josh. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. So, obviously this has been a crazy last few weeks. I mean, losing 5 out of 6 games has been painful for the fans to watch. But for you as someone who covers the team, talk about how you're looking at this week, because the players keep saying it's 0-0, it's playoff time, but the fans are not feeling that. Are you feeling anything different around this team this week?
Well, it's a team that has been dealing with frustrations throughout their losing streak. I mean, they had confidence in their 10-1 start, and even through that, I remember joining up and covering them with the first time they played the Cowboys and talking to Jalen Hurts, during the week and after games. And he was always talking about the standard. And I know Eagles fans are probably tired of hearing that again and again. But the point is that they knew at that time that they weren't hitting their mark, even while they were winning. So whenever they started to lose, you started to see some of the frustrations build up. It's like they know the problems and they know that, they haven't played to their potential. And it gets the nerve gets a little touchier each time they don't win. So going into this game, they're trying to prove that the barrier between the playoffs and the regular season is more than just an arbitrary threshold. They believe in themselves and they know that they're capable of winning against the Buccaneers and making a postseason run. I think, talking to some players, it's mixed feelings after the Giants game, which to me was the biggest embarrassment of all of them, was going down 24-0 to a team he had played 2 weeks ago. And going into those last 3 games, they had a chance to have a situation where they didn't have all these starters get injured because they should have been resting. They should have had the NFC East in lock. They had times where they could have controlled their own destiny. But whenever those things start piling up and then they end up with a couple of injuries, and you're looking at Jalen Hurts, who had popped out the middle finger on his throwing hand, A.J. Brown getting injured with his knee injury, and he missed practice today. Those were all things going through that locker room afterward. I was talking to some players about where their identity was as a team, because identity is one of those things where you feel confident in your scheme, where you're going, and all those things. And talked to Zach Cunningham, and he was like, honestly, throughout the entire year, we've been searching for that. Jalen Hurts spoke to that too after the game. So it just seems like a lot of things are swirling where they feel like they can prove who they are. They just haven't done it yet, and it's compiled top and top again. But again, if they win, that's where things start to find their center. So that's where they want ultimately to turn things around. Nick Sirianni said that after the game, is that he feels confident they can do that, and it'd be great once they do. We'll see if they get it done against a team they've already beaten this year.
You mentioned a team they've already beaten this year. That was months ago, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was so long ago. Like, we've been joking this week here on 97.3 ESPN, Brooks, that the Phillies hadn't clinched a playoff berth yet when they played Tampa in September. Like, that's how long ago it was. So it's like, you could almost argue that, like, these are different teams at this point in terms of like their mentality and everything. So with that being said, I was saying before you came on, I think Tampa is not a good matchup for Philadelphia because of how much they blitz and Philadelphia's inability to handle the blitz at times. And I'm not fully sure if this Eagles team is ready if they have to get into a shootout with a team like Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. The last month or two, we've been talking about how Jalen Hurts hasn't been very good at handling passes against the blitz, and really the offense too, and supporting Jalen Hurts whenever he is blitzed. It was one of the surprising things with the Giants game, who blitzed him 12 times in the first half. It would have probably doubled if they had been within range of competing, and Hurts had played the second half, if he had, with that injured finger. But the Bucs, they blitzed Hurts 23 times in the last time they played. He was able to handle it then. And on The Athletic, I did a breakdown a bit of the problems that are going on right now with the Eagles offensively and defensively. But what they were able to do in that game was do what they haven't been able to do the last couple of weeks, was, get the ball to A.J. Brown. And Sirianni admitted after the game, I was talking to him about, how big of a loss Brown might be in this game if they don't indeed get a chance to play him. We'll see how that works out later in the week. But he was like, yeah, that's true. It's going to be tough. But they weren't pushing the ball to A.J. Brown as much as they weren't attacking with him even when he was on the field. You look back at the Bucs game, they were doing that on consecutive plays. Look at the very first drive. They were able to get into a situation where they could diagnose whether he was in man coverage with single high coverage, and he can get a pick off of some of the tight ends and get him in a place where he's catching the ball and going for some yards after the catch. And then whenever they back up to go two safeties, they can play in tandem with Devontae Smith and get him a space over the middle with creating some routes where Hurts can get him the ball. But that also means Hurts needs to have time to throw. And that's been one of the things, is just how the offensive line has handled some of these blitzes. Jason Kelsey admitted this week after the game that, and I believe spoke to it on his podcast too, that they weren't handling the blitz well against Wink Martindale, who they'd seen 2 weeks before. So you look at some of the things. Does it mean you saw some instances where they were bringing Kenneth Gainwell, keeping him in six-man protections? The problem with that is that you limit your downfield options, especially if it's a long third down where you need to get the ball beyond the sticks. Sometimes just getting all of your receivers out gives Jalen Hurts more options to throw. The other thing is sometimes you see him take off running, and the option, the hot route, is on the other side of the field. Now, that may be Jalen running the wrong way. That may just be where he was flushed and that was organic, but they have to be able to find more ways for him to be able to get rid of the ball whenever the blitz does come through. Sometimes that means the offensive line shouldn't have let that through. There needs to be some more communication. The things they did Sunday plainly just didn't work. The Buccaneers, Todd Bowles, they're going to be looking at that to see which ways they can better the blitz they tried in week 3 that didn't work against Hurts, to make sure they do. So that's going to be the ultimate test. Brian Johnson's spoken to that the last couple of weeks already, and the numbers are clear. Hurts ranks 30th among all quarterbacks with a 75.2 passer rating when facing a 5-man rush or more. That's troubling. That's not a good deal. That's not going to work when the Bucs are going to be blitzing. So it's a huge deal whether A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith play in this game, because without that, the options to pass become severely limited.
And again, A.J. Brown did not practice today. Is something to keep in mind for everyone listening out there. Brooks Kubena from The Athletic joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at B Kubena over on the Twitter X platform. Now, you mentioned the full gauntlet of the Eagles and their issues there. For you, where do you draw the line between the coaching and the players? Because we've all heard the different sides of this, right? A.J. Brown, he says the coaches play 0 snaps, right? Nick Sirianni and the coaches would be like, we got to do a better job. So, where do we find that crossover? Because obviously, if both sides have culpability in this, right? Where do we say where does one start and the other one end? How does that work for you?
Well, in the totality of a game, I mean, you just take it from, they have a roster, and they as in the coaches, and the coaches are diagnosing what best to do with that roster. So, Jalen Hurts was talking about this today, and I think it's mindful to remember sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So, I admit that a lot. I mean, we look at a play and we see what happens, and we say, oh, look, it looks like A.J. Brown, whenever the Seattle Seahawks interception happened, it's like, what a boneheaded play call. Later on, A.J. Brown's like, well, we did that. We freelanced behind the scenes. So, just where in the conversations I've had with players about, defensive issues and offensive issues, some of that is where it's always a blend of both. And as the coaches will take on ownership of things that they did wrong, the players are going to do that too. For me, as I look at some of the issues, let's take the defense, for example. That's been the biggest thing for me when you look at the line between coaching and players, because that's the first time Nick Sirianni has demoted or relatively gotten close to firing somebody, and Sean Desai demoting him to defensive coordinator, bringing up Matt Patricia. You look at the last 3 weeks, and Patricia's tried to do a lot more of bringing extra edge rushers into situations that have looks like a standard 3-4, but that meant he was asking edge rushers like Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick to be dropping back in coverage, which is problematic. So you're asking edge rushers to do something that's not what their specialties are, and that inherently had issues that played out. So you look at that and you say, okay, well, maybe that wasn't a great idea. You see the Giants, what they were able to do, the Cardinals, what they were able to do in the run game. They were taking these tight ends and bringing them in motion across the field and creating numbers advantages, and they were gashing the Eagles in the run. You see the transition mid-game against the Giants. Patricia started running more nickel formations. He took that edge rusher out, resubmitted a linebacker. They got 2 on the field. And they're able to stop the run a lot better against those kind of motion runs. I asked Patricia about that, and he felt like, that was something that worked better in that situation, better than they expected. And I asked Nick Sirianni about that today, and they're like, well, it's different from team to team. I think the Bucs, looking at that change, would probably expect to do something different if they expect the Eagles to start playing more nickel. So it's a long answer, but there are all these little threads. I think in that case, that was something more coach specific. I think with the offense, they've just getting those options for Jalen Hurts and facing the blitz. That's coaching in some ways too, because you have to give him more options and understand better where the blitzes are coming from. But on Sunday in particular, it sounded like they had answers, and that the offensive line was taking ownership and saying, well, it didn't work. So there were some things that they did that earlier in the year. I remember talking to Jordan Mailata, I think it was after the Cowboys game, and it was after the first half, they had some sacks, and then going into the second, they were like, well, they didn't give up any. And he said, well, we just had a game plan in, and then we scrapped it and just went basic. Those are decisions players and coaches are both having conversations about. So it's all a blend. It's a long answer, but it's complicated. And that's been one of the reasons why communication, both explaining what's going wrong whenever they have so much talent and have had so much success, has been problematic, and how they've been trying to explain themselves and not being able to fix things whenever they come out with new potential solutions.
But see, that's part of the problem, what you just said at the end there, because what you said was in part a better explanation than what the coaches and players are saying. Because what you're saying is that, hey, there are things here, they're not doing it. There's a communication issue between the player and the coach at times, or hey, the players are communicating with each other, or you laid things out that I guarantee you, if Sirianni or the coaches, the players said those things, the fans would not be jumping off bridges right now, Brooks.
Well, I'm not in their heads. I don't know whether that matters to them. I think what they care about more is finding out solutions internally. And, I ask questions all the time about today. I noticed that there was a trend that defenses have been playing more cover 6 and quarters defenses against the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. And I asked Brian Johnson about that earlier in the year, because Jalen Hurts has struggled against that coverage. Mm-hmm. And, Brian Johnson said that it's really more of a trend across the NFL. And I asked Jalen Hurts about that today, and he didn't get into details. And it'd be great for me to have an explanation. I would love to know why that even in a general sense, why that has given him problems. But, if they give you the answer, sometimes you're giving the opponent some reasons for why they might be adjusting. So the messaging isn't always going to be clear, but to me, I think sometimes it becomes complicated when like the scenario where Nick Sirianni said after the Eagles' interception against the Seahawks, he said that it was his fault and that they were trying to throw a play where they could draw a pass interference. And later on, A.J. Brown says that that he was making himself look like a fool to protect them, and that he felt good that he was being protected. But as I wrote at the time, that created problems too, because that made it look like Nick Sirianni was a fool. And then whenever you see some other people on the field get frustrated, like A.J. Brown coming off the field, you're connecting the two. And as fans, you're like, oh, look, he must be mad because Sirianni's calling plays like throwing up pass interferences. So that's why the frustration's on the scene. So at least not making up things would probably help out in terms of communicating what the issues are and what they are not. But I mean, again, I don't think any coach or player feels obligated to explain exactly what's going on, especially whenever they're about to play a playoff game in which they could be eliminated. So I'll take what I can get, and I'll try and find as much out as I can as I go through the locker room and to the coaches. But sometimes a sincere question is met with a sincere blockage because they just don't want to reveal that answer.
Although I will say that, there's a lot of things out there. They might want to reveal it to you when they're talking to you, Brooks, but at the end of the day, if someone like Brian Baldinger is getting up in interviews, or a guy like Dan Orlovsky is on television and saying, this is not good, and then when you guys are asking the question and they're like, well, we don't want to give away information, but then other people are saying, yeah, but it's kind of obvious. I mean, you got... I've always said, Brooks, that, and I know you haven't been covering the team for very long, but for years, we've always joked the Eagles act like they're the Pentagon with classified secrets. And it's football. There's only so many ways to run the same play. You know what I mean? It's not like we're trying to invade a country over here. So, sometimes I feel like you guys are trying to do your job, and it would be nice if the coaches and players accepted the fact that you guys are asking some real legitimate questions, and then you get some non-answers. And I can only imagine how you guys feel sitting there and be like, I sat here, thought of this question, and you gave me nothing on the answer.
Look, I mean, that's just sometimes part of it. I just go in and I have a question. If it gets answered, great. If it doesn't, then I have to take what I go through. I mean, I have relationships with people throughout all my career. You try and communicate the best you can. You find where you meet in the middle. And, I've been here a couple of months, so I can't say that I have, a full understanding of all the frustration that you might be talking about. So, I'm just doing my job right now.
I wanted to ask you, though, because you were covering the Houston Texans before you jumped on the Eagles beat. And I wanted to ask you about that because, what for you now, looking at the Eagles now a few months in, because the Texans are like the darling right now for a lot of NFL fans. And the Eagles are like the team that everyone is perplexed about. So, for you, what are your biggest takeaways from seeing the Texans half the year and now the Eagles for half the year?
Well, yeah, I mean, there were completely different scenarios. One was, I covered the Texans throughout their rebuild. That was a team that went through constant roster overhauls, constant coaching changes, trying to find the combination of coaches and players that would take off and produce a playoff run. And, this year, them becoming AFC South champions, at the beginning of the year, they were plus 1,000 in the odds to win the AFC South. I mean, myself, I picked them to win 7 games. That they're in the playoffs is ahead of schedule. So, that's partly due to drafting well and C.J. Stroud being incredible throughout the year, and D'Amico Ryans and offensive coordinator Bobby Sloat coming up with good game plans in situations where C.J. Stroud wasn't playing. They got to win when Case Keenum was the quarterback and Stroud was out with a concussion. So, there were a lot of times where they had a lot of injuries and were able to get through. So I left, came here, and, this is a team that is established. They found the combination. They went to the Super Bowl last year, and a lot of those players are still remaining. So that's that's kind of what they're dealing with is a different location in the mountain range. They're feeling the winds that come at the top of the mountain once you're reaching around there, and it's been a problem. And once you are feeling the gusts, you're trying to figure out which way to continue to fly your kite without tangling it to the point where it crashes. So looking at it now, like the Sean Desai demotion, the last 3 weeks, in some ways it doesn't look like that really fixed much because their defense has been doing poorly, and you can't really switch back, although the behind the scenes relationship between Matt Patricia and Sean Desai seems to still be somewhat collaborative. It's definitely an interesting dynamic looking at this, because this is a team that should be expected to make a run to the Super Bowl. They are, they have all this when healthy, that they've dealt with that too. Darius Slay has been out for a couple of weeks with his knee injury. He had that the surgery that they planned on. That's the other thing, is that they planned for him to have this surgery that was bothering him so that he could come back for a playoff run. And they did that knowing that the back end of their season, they might be able to win some without him, and they didn't. So it's all these calculations, and it's definitely I can understand the frustrations where they're stemming from everywhere, and people trying to figure out why things aren't working. And it's there's all these feelings that are coming up now that like this team that started 10-1 is having such a disastrous back end of the season, 1-5, that it's somewhat jarring to think that the Eagles are even in the playoffs at all. And if they were to lose against Tampa, how much does that mean about the direction of where this organization is going? Is that where you start talking about overhauls in the coaching staff, which is kind of interesting considering Nick Sirianni in the last 3 years has been to the playoffs 3 times? That would be an interesting explanation, but is it warranted whenever you think about who can solve the problems that are persisting right now? And is that a situation where he can say, you know what, maybe those are things where I can reset some of the coaching changes or the personnel changes, and let's just tweak a few things in the offseason. Things are back on track. Those are all hard questions that, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are going to have to come up with if the season ends abruptly next week. So definitely a different, they're very juxtaposing situations for sure.
He's Brooks Kubena, covers the Eagles for The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter, X at @BKubena, and check out all of his coverage of the Eagles in The Athletic. And if you're not subscribed, well, what are you guys waiting for? Get The Athletic subscription now. Brooks, appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the trip to Tampa, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Josh. Anytime.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. We'll check back on the text board. Coming up next, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. And don't forget, of course, you hear all the NFL postseason action Saturday, Sunday, Monday, here on your home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers, as well as the NFL playoffs all year long. We got you covered here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Dominate, put a slam dunk, Kelly Oubre, a running two-hand jam.
It's Sixers King tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
If you're a contractor interested in doing lead-based paint hazard control work, there is an opportunity to take part in New Jersey's lead remediation and abatement program. Governor Murphy has committed $180 million in grant money to allow eligible community-based groups to hire qualified contractors to conduct lead-safe repairs in residential units in our state. To learn more, visit leadabatement.nj.gov.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the January winter sale, January 12th through the 22nd, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $31.14. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible, so Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
To avoid digital threats, turn on NordVPN. It's trusted by millions of users. Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day. And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
The Home Depot makes it easy to shop and save on appliances in-store and online. Enjoy savings on top brands like GE, LG, Frigidaire, Whirlpool, and more. Find kitchen appliances with helpful features like customized organization and save time with laundry appliances that have faster wash and dry cycles. Shop now and get up to $450 off select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid January 4 through 24. Gas ranges and dryers extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Looking for some holiday cash? Then don't miss Matt Blatt Nissan's holiday vehicle buyback. It doesn't matter what you drive. AJ, the trademan, wants to buy your vehicle today. Regardless of the make, miles, condition, or situation, AJ will buy your ride for cash today. So treat yourself to a brand new Nissan. 0 down, 0 payments, 0% interest on every new Matt Blatt Nissan Rogue or Frontier in stock. That's a brand new Nissan with 0% financing for 36 months, or come in and get a brand new Versa for only $17,999. And make no payments until March on any brand new Nissan. AJ says you'll get more cash than you think and drive away with peace of mind because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. Qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed. On in stock 2023 Nissan Rose and Frontiers. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details or call 844-917-4758. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. VIN RL821625. First S MSRP $20,635. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Harper Township.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, check back in on the text board as promised at 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in and says, my interest on Monday night depends on what happens on Sunday. If Dallas and Detroit both win, then the prize of traveling to San Francisco is no prize at all. That's from Jeff in Ocean City. It's an interesting point, Jeff, because, you know, the whole premise of the whole narrative going into this season was that could the Eagles rebound from last year's losing of the Super Bowl, and how would they handle the season? And there were a lot of people who did not pick the Eagles to win the NFC. So it's not like there was this like general consensus that the Eagles should be the team that comes out of the NFC. But when you start the season 10-1, people started feeling differently about you. And then the downfall happened. And now that we've been brought back to reality, it's the idea that Eagle fans like Jeff from Ocean City don't want to see the San Francisco 49ers. They don't want to go to San Francisco. They don't want to deal with that because the feeling is that the Eagles have been so bad at fixing their problems. And as I told Brooks Kubena in the last segment, the Eagles are so poor at communicating with the media who's trying to convey the players, the coach's message to the fans. It's just getting out of control. It's getting to the point where, like, you know, I've always loved listening to the Kelsey's podcast because Jason and Travis typically keep it very real and keep it very honest. Well, I got to be honest with you guys. The last couple of weeks of listening to the Kelsey podcast feels like it's almost been a waste of my time because Jason's given us nothing. He's saying nothing on the podcast that is any different or any more enlightening or any more insightful than anything that the Eagles are saying post-game or during the week to the media. And so the problem is that you, the fans, are being kept in the dark about what's going on. So because you're being kept in the dark, why would you have faith that this team could pack their bags, go to San Francisco, and win a football game right now? So Jeff from Ocean City is right. If Dallas beats the Packers and Detroit beats the Rams, then the Eagles winning on Monday night feels hollow. It feels empty. It feels like a waste of your time. Personally, I do think that the Rams will probably beat Detroit this weekend. So I'm assuming the Rams would be the team that travels to San Francisco. And the Rams are probably the team that is best built to beat San Francisco right now. I don't think Green Bay has any chance to beat Dallas. I think Dallas is too good at home. And I think Green Bay's defense is going to be shredded like Swiss cheese by the Cowboys offense. So that's kind of how I look at it. But again, listen, if the Rams do beat Detroit and you beat Tampa, well, we got an interesting conversation to have then. Because then you're not going to San Francisco. You're not dealing with that situation. And if the Rams were to beat San Francisco, and let's say you found a way to beat Dallas in the next round, it's you versus the Rams in a very unlikely showdown that favors you a lot more than any of the matchup. Now, saying the Eagles beat the Rams, I think the Rams might come out of the NFC. I think that if it's not the 49ers, the Rams have the second best odds because they are the team that matches up best with everyone. All right, before we get out of here, I did want to hit on this really quick. Bill Belichick, his time in New England is done. And I'm really getting sick and tired of people bringing up that Belichick never won without Brady. The reality is that there is no great coach who ever won without great talent. Bill Walsh never won without Joe Montana or Steve Young. Those are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You go through the list of great coaches. Don Shula had great Hall of Fame legendary players. This idea that Belichick should be lessened because he won with Brady, to me, is one of the most frivolous arguments in the world, and people need to get over themselves.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles playoff football. It's the Super Wild Card round as the Eagles travel to Tampa to face the Buccaneers.
And Bucks. Mayfield back, dancing around. He is set back at the 30. Fletcher Coxon, Jalen Carter.
Pre-game coverage starts at 7. Merrill and Mike call all the playoff action starting at 8:50. This is South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by
GMS Law. Make the right call with 4 convenient locations to serve you and at gmslaw.com. Boardwalk Honda. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. The Fan Zone at Sun Valley Pools. Unique fan gear and gifts for every fan of every team. Kate Regional Health System. Your healthcare partner for a healthier life in Cape County. Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Choose better banking. And South Jersey Gas.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football.